Good evening, welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night, it's 7:30. Sadly, Leicester have lost for the second time on the trot, second time within a week. I want to know what your views are, what your comments are. Get them into me now as soon as you can. Lots and lots of things to talk about, including who should start for Leicester against West Ham. Who do you think needs to be picked by Brendan Rodgers? I want to know your views, your comments. Get them in and I can put them on screen as I do every week, just as Matthew Bond has put his in here. Good evening, Matthew says, good evening. Matthew, what do you think? 2 defeats on the trot. Get your views in. Let me know what you think to that. I'm going to be joined shortly by Tom and Chris from Leicester Till I Die. So I'm going to bring them in very quickly to get their views on what they think is going on at Leicester City. And then I'm also going to be joined later by Nick from Bodie Hodges, the charity we help support. So Nick's going to be coming on telling us a little bit about his views on Leicester City, telling us all probably to keep calm a little bit and stop worrying about what's going on. So good evening to Will. How are you doing, brother? Good to see you. Maz as well. Hope you're well. Chris Tidd, thank you for all your welcome messages. Let me know what you think about what is going on. Here's something to get you talking, and I'm going to ask Chris and Tom about this. Where were Hamza and Chilwell? I can already see Tom shaking his head. We think we know where some of them were, but we want to know, where do you think they were? Tom, if you know, don't say when you come on. What do you think about Harvey Barnes? What do you think about Perez? You know I'm going to want to bleat on about Mark Albrighton, that I think he should be started. We ran a fans poll the other day after the match, and I think it was a massive amount thought Mark Albrighton should at least feature in some of the game time. Surprisingly, he hasn't played 1 minute of either the Southampton defeat or the Barnley defeat. Jamie, last couple of comments before I switch to Tom and Chris. Jamie says Nacho alongside Vardy and Albrighton. Gray Richardson saying, what is the story about Chilwell and Hamza? Graham says we need more upbeat and more intensity and more passion. Kevin Atkins says we're just having a bad patch, but we'll be back on Wednesday. Matthew Bond says we set a very high standard so far this season. It's dipped badly. Something is wrong. Let's just hope it's a blip. And Neil Birchenough says Albrighton to start and stick with Fuchs. Thought his defending was good yesterday. Not everybody would agree with that, Neil. Not everybody thought Fuchs had an amazing game. Let's add in Tom. How are you, Tom?
Even Phil, even everyone. Yeah, not bad, mate, not bad.
And I'm going to add Chris in as well. Chris from Leicester Till I Die. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. And I have a feeling that the 2 missing players are actually going on my cruise with me. So
we probably shouldn't say, Tom, should we, where we heard one of them was.
We won't talk about that situation at the moment.
Chris, you're Leicester Till I Die. Obviously, people know where they can follow you on Leicester Till I Die, Facebook, website, etc. It feels like we have to be Leicester till we die at the moment after 2 defeats. What's your views on the current state?
I think we are actually struggling from our own success a bit. I think if you look at the season that we are having, I think we've gone into this season probably with greater expectations than we've been in any season. I mean, we didn't go into the title-winning season with this sort of expectation. I think we've got the young squad, we've got the potential there, we've got a great managerial team, and we're all going, yeah, we could break into the top 60. We could break into the top 6. This could be amazing, maybe even top 4. We had a great start, and that made it even worse. Our expectation, yeah, we could actually be challenging now. We're second, and I just think reality has hit home a little bit. You know, if you'd gone back a couple of seasons and said that we'd lose to Burnley and lose to Southampton, you'd probably go, well, yeah, okay, it's part of the season. But I just think we've come to the point where, with the great start, the 9-0, we thought we could walk on water. We're thinking we've lost 4 games, yes, but we've lost to, well, who hasn't lost to Liverpool this season? We've lost to Man City. They are the reigning champions. So as disappointing as it was at the time, looking back, you got to say that though they were bad, yeah, the last 2 were. But I honestly think, as I say, it's our own expectations. We're typical football fans. You win 2 or 3 games, you're going to do the treble. And I think, we've just come to a point now where, 3rd possible Wembley Cup final, still in the FA Cup. Would you, if you'd been offered that at the start of the season, come January, you'd have taken that.
Chris, I do agree with what you're saying there. Fans would take that. The trouble is, we've been second in the league for half a season, and I think fans are fair enough to have high expectations now. Tom, what do you take from yesterday's game? Give us your views. Come on.
If I'm honest, I didn't think we played that bad. I think it was, once again, the passion was better, our movement was better, we caused Burnley problems at times. I think it, once again, this game compared to the Southampton game, just taking our chances, really was. For me, we had some very good chances in the game to put it to bed before Burnley got the equaliser. You come out 1-0 up, Pratt, for me, has to score. I'm sorry. Everyone says it's a good save from Pope. For me, it's at his height. All he has to do is dive, and it's at his height. For me, Pratt has to either go low and hard or push it into the top of the net and smash the ball. You get the penalty. Look, for me, I'm not always confident with Vardy taking pens unless he smashes them. For some reason, he's at this habit of side-footing at the moment where, for me, Vardy's best when you just smash the living daylights out of the ball into the back of the net, then tries to place it. You look at the 2 goals we conceded, for me, both poor goals were conceded. The second one especially, I mean, it's a flick of a foot from Evans. Tell me where the midfield is. That's the midfielder running in. So there's got to be one midfielder following him in there to stop him getting that strike away from goal. We all could say about Fuchs could, turn his back a bit and no one ran out to him. But for me, there has to be a player who's in that midfield. Mendy, Tillemans, I think, came on by that point. Someone who's got to be there making sure he hasn't got a free shot. Well, what can we say at the moment? Our Achilles heels, we can't defend corners. We just do not seem like we can set up to defend a corner at the moment. Before the 8-game, winning run, we were ruthless at the back. Defending made look easy at times. And I think at the moment, teams have found us out. I really do. One bigger thing teams are doing, they're pressing high and they're stopping us playing out from the back. But the biggest loss, I don't care what anyone says, Mendy didn't play bad at the weekend. He got criticised a little bit, and I didn't think he had a bad game. We missed Wolf. Honestly, you don't realise how much that man does to that team by playing the 5-yard balls when he wins them, winning play back. Mendy didn't have a bad game at the weekend compared to what people are slating him for. I thought Mendy offered quite a bit the weekend. His passing wasn't bad. He isn't going to offer that range of ability because he isn't built like Wolf for challenges in the air. But overall, it wasn't the worst performance we've seen in a long time. Still positive to take that we're creating chances, but still carrying people in the team. For me, I didn't think Barnes offered enough again.
Well,
he scored a goal. I'm not denying that. And same with Perez. Both the wingers do not offer enough in that team.
In a minute, Tom, I'm going to go through some fans' views first, but then I want to ask both of you two your quick views on Tielemans and Perez and Barnes and Mark Albrighton. But try and keep them short and sweet on each one. But I do want to know, I think they're key players who suddenly seem out of form. I'm going to read out a few fans' views first. Burnley were average and we still lost, says Jamie Lee. Aggie says, and I agree with Aggie, what are your views on Perez? I'm not been that impressed, to be honest. I think Perez is he can be a 10 out of 10 player, but he can also be a 2 out of 10 player, Aggie. But I want to know what Chris and Tom both think to Perez. Kia says, I think we need Mark Albrighton start, which I do agree with, I've got to be honest. Dave says we're struggling all over the field a little bit at the moment. Ben has put in a massive comment in there, effectively saying we're a bit lightweight and when teams get physical, we fall apart. Again, no plan B. We will come on to no plan B. Matthew Bond says Wolf is better than Kante in that role. Lads, I'll start with you, Chris. What brief thoughts on Perez, Tielemans, Barnes and Albrighton? That's a big ask.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Albrighton, we've got to accept he's not as young as he was. That said, I think like yesterday's game, last 5 minutes, including injury time, we were still passing it around the back. We were still passing it across the defence. We needed somebody like that on, get the ball to him that can go and attack. Gray, where was Gray coming on? We haven't got. It's all nice, this tippy-tappy football, but when you're 2-1 down with 3 or 4 minutes to go, don't be playing it across the back. Whack the damn thing up to the other end of the field. Get it out to the wingers. Get the crosses in. Perez, I like him. I think he's always going to be under Vardy's shadow a little bit. Harvey Barnes, I think he sort of sums football up. He was the Messiah when he came back to us from West Brom. Saved our season last year. He could walk on water. And I think, we've been a bit harsh on the guy to sort of start saying that, he's not the player he was. He's still young, as all these players are. Tillemans, you got to love the guy, but he's hit a bit of bad form, and as the whole team has. And I think he'll come good. But certainly, I don't know why, you have just remind me of Albrighton was on the bench, was he, against Burnley?
Yeah, he didn't play against either team against Southampton or Burnley, did he?
No, but if he's why have a player like that on the bench and not bring him on when you need something from the game, like I say, in the last 10, 15 minutes, when their defence is tired and he's just going to terrorise them?
Tom, I mean, same question to you, but to say we took the lead against Southampton 1-0, and we took the lead against, obviously, Burnley 1-0, and we let both teams come back into it, and then we are going to mention Plan B again. No Plan B.
I'll just run you through the team, their names you just mentioned quickly. Barnes, like you said, he couldn't do anything wrong last year, and I think the start of this season he played very well, created a lot of chances, wasn't scoring that many, got a very good goal at Sheffield United away with his volley. But up to the last 6, 7, 8 games, I just do not see him as a threat down that left-hand side against any teams. Very easy to mark and defend against it most of the time. Not making the runs like Southampton. I said I think he made Chilwell look worse than he was because of his runs off the ball were appalling. Tillemans look like he's young. They're all young. That's the problem. And I said last week we've got too many kids in the team. I think Tillemans will come again. I stay at the weekend. He had still got the quality on the ball to move it around and look for that pass. It's just not coming off him at the moment. Go back to Barnes. He's a confident player, by the way. We've seen it at the weekend. He's got the goal. His confidence up a little bit. He started making runs at people. He's started to try and take people on. Rodgers has said at the beginning of the season that Harvey Barnes is all about confidence. Once he's confident, he'll do things, but he does go into his shell at times. I think at the moment, he's just taken a step back from where he was. As for Perez, 5 goals, 5 assists. I would have taken out at the start of the season coming into Christmas. I understand your points, Phil, but he can be a very frustrating at times and runs into a lot of traffic when he tries to do one too many turns and drag bats and loses the ball. But there is a player in there with some ability. It's just taking longer than I think Rodgers thought for him to settle into the team, if I'm honest with you. Where do you start with Albrighton? Just unlucky, mate, if I'm honest with you. How he's not got a start last weekend at Burnley. I think that's the only change I probably would have made that out the team was Barnes not to be rested and Albrighton start on the left just to strengthen that side up, because that's the side at the moment I feel we're weakest because of Chilwell playing there and Barnes. There's a lot of youth down that left-hand side and we probably get exposed more down there than we do on the right because everyone knows how good Ricardo is at defending.
Okay, I'm going to just ask the fans a few more of their comments. And what I want to know from people, I'm going to ask Chris and Tom this briefly before I bring Nick in from Bodie Hodges for a chat. Who should start against West Ham? Luckily, we've got a game in just under 48 hours where Leicester can at least pull this back in. So put in the comments who you think should start against West Ham and who should Rodgers potentially drop or rest, whatever you want to call it in today's world. Who should he change round? Because I do think we need to make some changes. Few comments in there. Aggie says, think Barnes would benefit from another loan in the Championship. I think that's a bit harsh, Aggie. Somebody on the Facebook group says, if we want to keep big names at the club, we have to bring in big players, which is alluding to the transfer window, which is another saga to talk about. But Tom, let's start with you, Chris, actually, if we can. What would you mix up for Wednesday night?
Definitely. I mean, for me, I would certainly start with Albrighton and probably Gray as well. Have them both on either wing, having a go at them. Not knowing probably what you guys might do about Chowdhury, I'd love to see him backing because I did think we missed that. Mendy didn't have a bad game at all. I've looked against Mendy. I think when he's come in, he's done an all right job. But we did lack that bite. Obviously, don't think that indeed he's going to be back for Wednesday. But if Chowdhury's fit and can play, he should certainly be in there.
Then Tom, how about you?
It's a tricky one. I'm honest. If we had the flexibility, I'd drop Maddison. and that had shocked a lot of people. But I actually didn't think Maddison has offered anything in the last 3 games. All I saw Maddison doing at the weekend was rolling around on the floor half the time, looking to get kicked or fouled and make contact with players. And actually, if he looked up, there was a ball onto him for Vardy to run through. There was a ball wide a couple of times. Instead, he was looking for the foul. He was looking for the roll, especially the first half. One of them, he barely got kicked. He got a free kick from it, but it's embarrassing for Moji to watch, being a fan of Leicester, to watch Maddison go down so easily. I know he's young and he's learned the game. Stay on your feet, because referees now aren't giving him the free kicks he was getting at the beginning of the season. They're just telling him to get up. So if we had the flexibility, I'd probably say drop Maddison for the game, but we don't at the moment have that creative ability to go in there. For the rest of the team, for me, what I see will happen, Chilwell will come in at left back, I think, at the week on Wednesday. I really do. As I think Fuchs will play at the weekend against Brentford. So I think he'll rest Chilwell in for the Cup semi-final, knowing that he's going to need him to bomb down that side against Villa. I think you'll see Sancho, Evans and Ricardo keep the places. Mendy, I think, will start again against West Ham. I don't think he had a bad game if Ndidi's not there. And again, I think he'll probably start at the weekend versus Brentford for Ndidi then to come back in for the Cup semi-final, what they're talking about. Then you're looking at Pratt and Maddison probably keeping the place. I don't think Dennis Pratt has put a foot wrong in any games I've watched him this season. I really don't. I think he's a baller and a bruise, and that's what we're missing a little bit in that midfield. Someone who ain't scared to get his foot in there. He won the ball back for the goal at the weekend and set away Barnes. Then it's your front 3. And at the moment, Perez, I think, will start automatically. Vardy will keep his place. And then I think it is a toss-up who gets that left-hand spot. But I think because of his goal at the weekend and winning the penalty, I think Barnes will stay there.
We're not going to talk about it, Tom, because it is just a bit of rumour we've heard. But Chris, you heard Brendan Rodgers post-match press conference talking about Chilwell and Hamza Chowdhury.
You listen to these things and you can read anything into whatever you want to. You can, we're going to go, well, that means this and that means that. I just keep going back to the fact that, he will only sell if he wants to sell. We don't need to sell, but if we do get a good offer for somebody like, say Chilwell, I mean, Chowdhury to Newcastle, that I can't see happening. Chilwell to Chelsea, I don't think anybody will go in January. I've got to be honest with you. I think they're going to still be here at the end of the season, and then I think it depends where we finish at the end of the season as to who stays and who goes.
Tom, I mean, Will here doesn't know much about football, to be honest. That's my brother, Will. But he says we need a new striker. I actually agree with him in the fact that I do think we need something a bit different. Slimani being linked with a move to Villa, and I've also heard Tottenham Hotspur. Can you believe that?
Oh, Tottenham are often only players, aren't they, at the moment? They haven't got a striker. Poor Harry Kane injured. What a shame that is.
Did you see Vardy said he wouldn't play for England, by the way?
Yeah.
They play for him. Why would you want to come back? You put all your effort in. You go to 2 tournaments when you've been on form and you still got to get a place. And understand that Harry Kane was on fire at the time, but you've taken away. You don't want to go back to it now. And are you telling me he's going to go to the Euros this year and be a starter number 9 for them? No, because he'll play Rashford. He'll play another Tammy Abraham up there instead of him. So he's not going to go up the pecking order now for him. So fair play to him, for being honest. Going back to the transfer, I think a lot of people are panicking. But I think if you look at it realistically, what Premier League teams have signed anyone? No one. Villa signed Pepe Reina because they lost the goalkeeper and they're looking at another striker. But bar that, nobody's signed anyone yet in the window. That tells me we're not missing out on anything. It also tells me that they're gone are the days of clubs spending money just for sending money's sake. I'll always go to the one point, and I totally agree with this, what Alex Ferguson said back in the day. He'd never sign a foreigner in the January transfer window because it takes 6 months for a player to settle in. So basically, you're paying him for 6 months to not really get involved. Where if you sign him in the summer, you know that by Christmas time, he's ready for the next half of the season.
I mean, I would rebuff that one and say we did sign Yuri Telemans on loan last January and it worked out quite nicely.
Look, it's a hit and miss, but I just think he's quite right there. You're bringing in someone, especially someone who's supposed to be proven, the pressure's on them more. And if it doesn't work out in the first 6 months, then, disappointment. I think when Tinnemans came in, he was an unsung name. No one knew who he was. So no pressure on him to come in and perform like he did at the end of the day. The pressure's on him now to perform because of that great 6 months he had in. It hasn't worked out so far. But it doesn't make him a bad player, and he will come good. But for me, signing someone for the sake of signing isn't the club policy, I don't think. And I think Rodgers will only bring any player in who's going to make the team or the squad better or challenge for that starting place at the moment. When gone are the days of just signing a player for the sake of it or just signing him to be a squad player. I think he's only going to bring players in that will make the team better or really challenge to push the other players in there to don't think, well, if I don't perform, then this bloke's going to start every week. So at the moment, unless someone comes in, I don't see anyone going anywhere this window. Chris,
would you briefly agree with that?
Definitely. I mean, all this, we need a new striker. Let's not forget, we have got Inacho. And to me, he's looked a different player this season. I don't worry. I think if the problem you've got with the striker is that as he's fit, Jamie's always going to start. He's the first name on the sheet. I think if he gets injured, if he gets a couple of yellows or whatever, if he misses some games, I wouldn't worry. Like, I mean, I actually never thought I would say this, but I was getting to say, get Inacho on. Let's get Inacho on. Would you have said that 18 months ago? No, you wouldn't. I think he's a great option now. You know, I think he's been. I don't know what Brendan's done to him, put his arm around him, but yeah, I don't think we need a striker. But no, certainly Tom spoke a lot of sense there. Like you say, you know, these players have got to bed in, and I think summer signings, January signings usually are panic signings. Like you say, if you've got an injury, or you know, like with Tottenham with Harry Kane. Or you're panicking because you're not scoring goals or something. And panic buys are never good buys.
Talking of goodbye, it's time to let you two go. Thanks for joining us, Chris and Tom.
Yeah, led you into that one.
Yeah, thank you for that. Set me up and I nodded it in. Yeah. We'll see you
all the best, guys.
On Wednesday. Cheers.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.
So thanks to Tom and Chris. Don't forget, you can go and follow Chris at Leicester Till I Die on Facebook. And of course, his website. Now, I'm going to bring in Nick. As a lot of you know, we do support Bodie Hodges. Here it is behind us, which is a local Leicestershire charity, Nick, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you're based in Leicester?
Yeah. You've
been watching Leicester. We were having a little chat off camera before the game. What are your views on Leicester at the moment? You were telling us a bit to calm down a bit, weren't you?
I think people do need to calm down a little bit. It's when you look at the start of the season, I was talking with various different people about expectations for the season, and most people were saying, well, if we can break into the top six, it's going to be a good season for us. I must admit, I thought top six was a definite possibility, and I felt at the time that actually the momentum that Rodgers had started to build towards the back end of last season, looking at the squad that they got, that there's absolutely no reason why they potentially couldn't push for top four. And I think basically what's happened is obviously expectations, because of such a good start, have just gone sky high amongst the fans. And that's understandable. If it weren't for the fact that Liverpool were just so far streets ahead that, you know, they would be in the title race now. You know, the league's done and dusted.
You think you're just saying Liverpool have got it?
I think most fans it would take an absolute monumental collapse that's never happened before and probably would never happen again for them not to win it. But, you know, the eye on the prize really is still Champions League. Leicester in a really strong position. I think the teams underneath them are absolutely no better than them. I think, you know, Man City and Liverpool, two incredibly good sides. I've seen that when Leicester have played them. But I do think Leicester are the best of the remaining sides. So I think, top four. And if anybody had offered City fans at the start of the year, then I think people would have just, you know, as I say, bitten their hand off for it. But expectations have risen because it's such a good start. But the one thing that I would say is that, and I think most managers are savvy enough to do this now, they have managed expectations. You know, they've never said, well, Champions League is absolutely something we want now, or, you know, a tilt at the title. Everybody always tries to get that out of them. But, you know, I think you would have been managing the expectation of the players. They're a very young squad. They're a very talented squad. There's a lot of talent coming through the academy as well. And I think that what they're building is, I hate to use the kind of the term a project, but I think over the next kind of 5 to 10 years, with the vision of the owners, and I really do believe Rodgers is a fantastic coach and definitely a very, very good manager as well. Champions League is just going to become an expectation year in, year out, because they're building something fantastic, really, really are. So although they're going through a blip at the moment, I still expect them to make Champions League by the end of the year. Use this time really that they've not got a title race. They can concentrate on the cups and obviously try and secure that Champions League, but also start to build towards next season so that they can maybe start to have a push, maybe having a challenge for the title.
I think if we were to qualify for the Champions League, it would entice better players to come and join us in the summer, which would therefore start to push on towards a more regular top 4 finish, wouldn't it?
Definitely, and as we were saying earlier on as well, definitely that will entice players to come because they know the standard of football they're going to be playing, and that's what the top level players want. But also, you've got to look at the fact that the training ground's not going to be that far away.
No.
And as we were saying earlier on, if it's going to be the best training ground in the world, that is a player's office. That's where they kind of do their training day in, day out. They're not at the ground; they just turn up there for match days. If you have the opportunity to go and train in the world's greatest facilities, a team that's playing Champions League football every season and has got the money to pay the wages that they want, then they'll go. It doesn't matter where it is, they will go. They'd rather go and train there than somewhere, a team, who might pay well but have terrible training facilities. So I think that's going to be a massive pull, and a lot of people underestimate the value that will have moving forward.
It does look like Liverpool are going to get it finally.
Yeah.
But with a bit of a Liverpool connection, you've got John Barnes coming. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about a big charity event that's going on in Leicester on March the
26th? Yeah, Thursday the 26th. So it's our biggest fundraiser. It's the 8th time that we run it. So it's a charity supporting families who've been bereaved of a child. We offer bereavement service, face-to-face bereavement services for any parent who and their families who've lost a child, sadly, in kind of as an early intervention. We also offer a place for them to stay out at Stamford called Bodie's Boathouse, and we also produce some grief resources as well for siblings, which is like a treasured memory bag to try and help them work through their grief. So it's still a relatively small charity, but we're growing quite fast due to the kind of fantastic support we get from the likes of yourselves.
It's our pleasure.
And it's been great.
And you guys are a Leicester only charity, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, we do help people outside, some people outside of Leicester as well, but certainly the Bodie Bereavement Service is Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and it's a service which is entirely new. There's nothing else out there, and it was a deliberate reason why we've set it up, is because we identified that there are gaps
in the NHS, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, and we don't want anybody to be walking out of hospital not knowing which way to turn after such a tragic event. So obviously we rely heavily on our fundraising. As I say, we have a sports dinner every year. We've had the likes of Martin Johnson, Frank Bruno, Jimmy Bullard, Phil Tufnell in previous years. And this year we're delighted to have John Barnes, who I honestly believe was probably 20, 30 years ahead of his time in terms of being one of the kind of most naturally gifted players that we've seen over here. Never probably hit the heights he needed to for England, but certainly did for Liverpool. I just think he's going to be a very entertaining guy to have come down. With his stories about his time, obviously playing. From being a young prospect at Watford, and then all that he did in Liverpool, and obviously the Mexico '86, the goal at the Maracanã, and also that fantastic tournament in Italy in 1990. Although not necessarily a big fixture in the side, he certainly played his part. And also, obviously, with the kind of issues that we are having with, the ongoing issues with racism in football, and it's been highlighted a lot more this year. He has some very strong views on that, and has been quite a pioneer, really, throughout the last 30 years in kind of taking that forward. So, he's going to be coming down. He'll be doing it Q&A with our ambassador and good friend Ian Stringer.
Great.
And also we've got support acting Jamie Raven. Who, for those of you who might not recognise the name straight away, he came second in Britain's Got Talent, I think, about 3 years ago.
I think, is he the magician?
He is a magician, yeah.
I do remember him. He was quite good, wasn't he?
He came.
Probably got beat by a dog or something.
He did get beaten by a dog. So he's first place human. But yeah, we've worked with Jamie before, and he's absolutely fantastic. So he's going to come and do a support act. But it's at Leicester Tigers on Thursday, the 26th. We have some fantastic items every year that we auction. We have some signed kind of memorabilia. We have a lot of kind of money can't buy opportunities to for experiences. We've even got this year which you came along to, Phil, from the shed gig we did with Tom Mayen back in May. We've got his actual shirt that he wore, his T-shirt that he wore on the night, which is framed, which we packaged up with a couple of tickets to see Kasabian.
Very good.
So we've got that as a nice auction prize. But we've got loads of different things. It's a fantastic night. So it's really, really good fun. Obviously, there's a very emotional pull on the night as well. We always raise some great money, but we have a mixture of everybody there. We have groups of mates who go just for a good night on a Thursday, something a bit different, and we have a lot of corporates as well there who take tables, entertain guests. So yeah, it's a real mix. But normally we have around about the kind of 250 mark. So we are actively selling tickets at the moment, which you can get the link.
I'll put the link in the comments, and I'll share it a few times on all the social media, so people can click through if you want to join. Can you guarantee that John Barnes is going to do the rap for World in Motion? Because if you can, I'm there, man.
Do you know what? It's not in the contract as such, but I spoke to quite a few people. And I did speak to his agent, and they said, pretty much every time he does it. So we will certainly be pushing for it, and I'll be very surprised if he doesn't do it.
Before we go, Nick, let's pull it back to Leicester. They're playing West Ham on Wednesday night, just 2 days' time. We always ask everybody, and I'm going to finish off with some comments in a minute, to put in their score predictions, which is normally the first goal scorer. Who's going to be the first goal scorer, and what's going to be the final score? Which Wednesday night, it could be anything.
I think there's going to be a reaction. I do. I kind of Sunday, I wasn't sure what would happen. It didn't surprise me what ended up being, the result it ended up being. But I do think there will be a reaction at home as well, under the lights. I am going to go 2-1 City, and I'm going to say first goal scorer Vardy. I think he's going to break his.
He's got a bit of a.
Well, having young children myself, I can understand if he's not sleeping. But yeah, I mean, did the rest, whilst it might kind of be beneficial for him long term, towards the back end of the season, having had that bit of a break kind of in and around Christmas, he was in good goal scoring form, wasn't he? And sometimes, it might not have been the ideal thing, but I think you just got to trust in Rodgers that he knows what he's doing. But that's the thing with strikers, isn't it? They can go on a great run and then they can go, quiet for a while. But no, I fancy him to grab a first, and I'm going to go 2-1.
Brilliant. All right, thanks, Nick, for joining us. And don't forget, guys, we support Bodie Hodges as well as all these other businesses here. But Bodie Hodges, that's our chosen charity at the moment, and we want all you guys go and follow them on. Go on. Do you know your social handles?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. It's just Facebook.com/Bodie Hodges Foundation. On Twitter, it's Bodie_Hodges. It's Bodie Hodges on Instagram, and then on LinkedIn, I'm just on as Nick Hodges, but you can pick up all the info on there as well.
Brilliant, and I'll share links to that. But thanks, Nick, for joining us. Thanks, of course, to Tom and Chris for joining us. But most of all, thanks for you for joining with all your comments, all your likes and your shares. Thanks for watching. If you've watched us on YouTube, thank you to all you guys for joining us there. People like Mark and Mark Anthony saying it's going to be 2-0 to City. Will Holloway says 2-0 with Perez to score. Don't forget, we give away a pair of pizzas for anybody who gets it right. Matthew Bond says it's going to be Iheanacho and 2-1. Terry Fuller, where on earth have you been, Terry? You've missed all the action. You're going to have to watch it on catch-up. Was there no money in the meter again, Terry? That's the question. Aggie, hi Aggie, thanks for watching. Says 2-1 to City. Who do you think Aggie's going to score the first goal? Somebody on Facebook in the group says Madders and 3-1. Neil, thanks for watching. Neil says Vardy and 2-1 to the Foxes. Agreeing with you there, Nick.
Yeah.
Imtiaz, hope you're well, Imtiaz. Been a while since you've had a chat. Hope you're doing really well. Sunday was a shocking performance. He says need to bounce back, but Nick, you think we will bounce back?
Yeah, I think we will, definitely.
So Nick's agreeing with you there. Brad Lingard, how are you, Brad? I'll see you Wednesday. Mackey's for lunch, 2-0, he says, for Vardy. Rob Chapman, how are you? Rob says 3-1 Vardy. Anthony Beebe says Leicester ready for a big win and performance. Nacho to be scoring. Keep getting those views in. Blue Van Man, how are you, Blue Van Man? We must meet up for another pint. Keep up the great work. Says, can't see us scoring. Come on, Blue Van Man. You've got to be more positive than that. You can't just come on and say, can't see us scoring. I want more positivity. Come on, Dave. Get your views in. Pete Brown is saying 9-0 with a cheeky wink. Alan Jones saying 2-0 and Perez. Terry's saying he's going to watch us on YouTube. Go on, Terry. You go and catch up. Lee Clayton says, I would pair up Madders and Tielemans again. They work so well together. And I prefer Chilwell to Fuchs, plus give Gray a chance. Steve Shepherd, 3-0. Tielemans. Blue Batman says he's being realistic. Fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. Joanne Astley says it'll be all right on the night, 2-1. With Vardy. Again, somebody else.
Yeah.
Agree with you. I think Vardy's got to score. He's got to get a goal in. And I think it is time for Leicester to see the real Leicester. Will the real Leicester step back up, please? I think will be the big wish on everybody's views. Thanks for Nick for joining us.
Thank you.
Go and follow Bodie Hodges. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. I appreciate them all. This is the Leicester Fan TV Fanzone show. We'll see you at the match. Come and see us outside the Blues Bar before kickoff. And most importantly, come and see us straight after the final whistle outside the Blues Bar. Get your views on our fan cams. From me, Phil, see you at the match.